We've had our Harvest Right freeze dryer for about a month now. Is it really worth the cost? Hi, I'm Jonathan.
And Kylene Jones, and we are the Provident Preppers. About a month ago, our Harvest Right freeze dryer arrived, and we've totally been in the honeymoon phase with this and been freeze drying everything that we can, and we've got some incredible videos coming up for you. But in this video, what we want to do is just kind of review our first impression. Is it worth it to buy a Harvest Right freeze dryer? Does it make a significant difference in your ability to store food?
A couple of the concerns that we had going into this from people that we had talked to was the power cost and also the oil changes. And let me address both of those. As it turns out, the power cost really isn't that bad. Depending on what we're doing and how long it takes, it costs between $1 and $2 per batch. So when you think about that and spread that over 4 trays and the product that you get, it's really not very bad at all. Our electricity rate is at about 10 cents a kilowatt hour. So you can gauge that according to your electrical cost. The other one was the oil changes, and I'd heard just war stories about how hard it was to do the oil changes. For me, it's really fairly easy. It's fairly fast when it's time to change the oil, and right now we have the regular pump. The Premier pump will soon be coming, but with the regular pump, you're supposed to change that every 4 or 5 batches. So after 4 batches, all I do is put the container below, open the valve, let it all drain out, close the valve, and put new oil in. It takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So to me, this is really not a big deal. I haven't found that to be a problem at all.
And my piece of it is the cost. So we don't have much freeze-dried food stored. Well, we didn't used to, because it's just so expensive. I actually am a fan of Valley Food Storage, so I'm not saying anything bad about them. We are affiliates for them. There are very few companies that we actually promote, but Valley Food Storage is one of them because of the quality of the food, and they don't put a lot of additives in it. So this isn't a big spiel for Valley Food Storage, but I'm going to compare what we've done. So these are white chicken dices. These cost roughly about $20 from Valley Food Storage, and it has 10 servings in it. Now, when we did rotisserie chicken, we bought the rotisserie chicken from Costco, and 3 rotisserie chickens. We took all the meat off. We did not freeze dry the skin, and we chopped it up. And I actually rinsed the second time that we did it, because the more fat that you have, the shorter your shelf life. And we are hoping for a really nice long shelf life. But those chickens cost $5 each. So for $15, we were able to get 4 similar sized bags to this one that's $20. Okay, not really for $15 because I didn't add in the power cost, which was
probably a couple of bucks, yeah.
Probably $2. But that's a significant cost savings for me. And then not only that, I know where I'm getting my food from. Some of the other things that we've done is, in order to share and to make sure that our neighbors are prepared, one of our neighbors raises a cow every season, right? And he has hamburger. And so what he did was he gave us a bunch of his hamburger to freeze dry. We cooked it up with onions and we freeze dried it. And then we gave them part of it, and we kept part for freeze drying it and for bagging it for them. So it's a win-win situation. We have this incredible grass-fed beef that we wouldn't be able to really afford if we went out to buy it. And they have some of it shelf stable in their food storage now. So it's really a good arrangement that we have. Augustin Farms, which is another food storage company that we are affiliates with because we do like their product. A number 10 can, which is 15 servings of white chicken dices, is $74 or $75. So you can see how much money you could save by freeze drying. It's work though. I mean, it's really work. My plan is to freeze dry a whole bunch of chicken, wait till it goes on sale really inexpensively, and then marinate it and cook it up so that it's just perfect the way that our family likes it in a bunch of different ways. Similarly, strawberries and pineapples are $12.95 a bag. when we did these strawberries, we bought them for $6 for 8 pounds of strawberries, because every once in a while they go on sale at the local market and we can get a flat of them. And so our cost of these strawberries was significantly below what we could buy. Now, we did freeze dry a bunch of bananas, but unfortunately Ben really likes the bananas. And like this morning, he opened one of these bags and bananas and it's gone. And yet, what a great snack, right? Instead of snacking on junk food, snacking on whole foods that are really healthy for us. One of the other concerns that we have heard a lot is that I'm not a techno person and the freeze dryer might just be beyond what I can handle, right? I'm glad that John does the oil changes, and I'm very blessed to have a wonderful handyman that takes care of all of that. For the most part, it's not really technical. We did have a problem this last week, and it kept giving us an error message saying that the vacuum pump had failed, or the vacuum
Wasn't able to draw a complete vacuum.
yeah, like, and it gave a number 8, number 9, number 10 kind of error message, and it was really discouraging. And at that time we were freeze drying. Well, it happened in a few batches, but the time when we couldn't get it to work anymore, it was on some dog treats that we were making, and we'll put out a video on that. But it's possible it could have had something to do with the product. I don't know, but we're back up and running, and Harvest Right was really good to work with us. I felt like they really cared that we had something that was working well. So
And I would agree with that. I think they do a really good job with their customer service. That is important to them.
yeah, and they have it set up so they don't have to have anybody come out and look at it. There's a little, you can take a jump drive and there's a little slot in the side, and you just stick it in there, and it will record all of the data that they need to evaluate what exactly is going on with your freeze dryer. Now, some of the things that I think are important to note is that the original pump is noisy. I would not have it in my house. It's kind of obnoxious noisy. I understand that the Premier pump that should be arriving for us soon, that there's not an issue with that, and we'll see, right? We'll evaluate it. But look at all the food that we've been able to freeze dry within the last month. And usually we don't freeze dry on Sundays. That's kind of our thing. Sunday's our day where we have a different devotion. And so we don't work or anything like that on Sunday. But also, we've got a lot of this that is in our friends and neighbors' hands now, right? Building their food storage and helping to make all of us a little bit more self-reliant.
My overall impression is very favorable. I really like the machine. As we mentioned, there is a fairly high upfront cost, but then if you're using it effectively, I think that gets paid off fairly quickly. I would probably disagree a little bit on the noisiness of the pump.
He's a brave man.
We have the regular pump, and I don't find it to be all that noisy. It's the machine makes a little bit of noise, and the pump makes a little bit of noise, but I don't find it offensive at all. Like I said, we will be getting the Premier pump, and they say that's even quieter. So it might be something that you could even do in your house and not have a problem with it.
And that's the other thing, the standard pump, you change the oil every 5 times, but the Premier, you only have to do it every 25. So it does require less maintenance.
And they do have an oilless pump if you want to go that route, but it is substantially more expensive. I think the Premier pump is going to be a great one for us.
Now, we think the freeze dryer is a really cool thing, but I want to say something about this because we have been preparing for a long time, and we only have one child still living here at home, and we have not been able to afford a freeze dryer up to this point. We have survived just fine without it. You do not need to have one in order to be able to store food and be able to take good care of your family. I'm incredibly grateful for especially 2 things. The fact that I can store cheese, that I have shelf-stable cheese that reconstitutes really well. That's a really big deal to me. And then the other thing that's a big deal, this is some of that hamburger that we had freeze-dried for our friend. This is amazing. So it's all cooked up, right? And yet all I have to do is add water to reconstitute this, and it's a snap to make dinner, and the texture is good and the flavor is good. That's not something that I could get with the canned meats that we've had so far. So I am incredibly grateful for it. But you do not have to have it in order to build your food supply.
And
right?
we strongly encourage you not to go into debt.
Ever.
We abhor debt, and we think debt is a bad way to go. We can't tell you what to do, but we would encourage you not to go into debt to get something. Save up and then get it when it's right.
And if you do want to purchase it, we will leave a link in the description of this video to take you to Harvest Right, because we are an affiliate for them, and that would be great. But seriously, it's a fantastic product, but it is not necessary. Now, one of the reasons why we decided to create this video is because we've got all this food from this past month, and it's time to package it for long-term storage. Now, Mylar bags, one of the huge problems with them is that a mouse can chew through them very quickly, and you would be amazed. You might not think you have mice, and then suddenly you'll find that some of your food storage is destroyed. So it's really important to store it in some type of a bucket or a tote. I found that the totes work better because of the size, because once these are, the oxygen absorber has sucked in all the sides, they don't like squish really well. So it's kind of a little bit of Tetris to get them fitted the way that they need to be fitted. And so the tote just allows you a little bit more space to do that. I like the really sturdy totes that Costco has, just because they're very inexpensive and yet they seal up really well. The thing with the jars that I'm concerned about is an earthquake, right? They're beautiful in the jars. They're susceptible to light. So light will degrade the food inside. Aren't those peppers beautiful? Oh my goodness, like those were harvested from our indoor garden and they taste amazing. Okay, I'm sidetracked. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to put the jars cushioned at the bottom of the tote, and then I'll fill the rest of it with Mylar bags. That should protect both from damage from earthquake or damage from rodents. It's really important to make sure that you protect your food. You've worked hard to get it, right? It's expensive, it's valuable, it's worth protecting. One of the cool things is, even when this is full, it will be light enough that I can carry it, because all of the moisture has been removed, and so these bags are really light. Bottles, they're light, but they have the weight of the bottle. So that's what we're gonna do, and on the way, while we're doing it, we are going to inventory what we put in here and label what's inside and the dates on the outside of this bucket and put it into our inventory system so we know what we have. And if I'm looking for a package of freeze-dried rotisserie chicken, I know exactly where I can find it. One of the other things that we learned this month was about the Mylar bags. So Harvest Right has they're really nice, thick Mylar bags. They really are really nice. But do you see how they just don't stand up well? They fall over, they're harder to package. But we found these incredibly thick Mylar bags that have both the zip closed, so you can fill them as full as you can, put an oxygen absorber in, and then zip it, and then turn it on its side to seal. And it really seems like it's easier to fill it more to capacity. I love the gusseted bottoms on it so that they stand up straight. Once I open these packages, then I do have the ability to zip the contents closed again. And freeze-dried food, if you let it sit out, it will absorb the moisture from the air very quickly. So in order to protect your foods, this is a really cool thing. I'll leave a link in the description of this video. These by far are now my favorite Mylar bags. So now we have a new tub of freeze-dried meats, cheeses, fruits, and vegetables to add to our long-term food storage. Harvest Right says that they will store up to 25 years when stored correctly in a cool, dry location, and they're protected, right, from light and rodents. However, some of the meat that has fat on it and the cheese, I'm not sure if I would push it to the 25 years. I think would be better off to rotate it between 5 and 10 years so we have good, high quality, and we don't have to worry about it turning rancid. And then we've got to start on the next tote, and we'll see how much we can fill up this month.
That's right. And now for the question of the day. If you have a Harvest Right freeze dryer, give us your comments and your impressions. Comment below.
And be incredibly honest, right? Because the more transparent that we can be as we talk about the pros and cons of a freeze dryer, the more valuable our feedback will be to those that are looking into buying a freeze dryer, because it might not be for everybody depending on their financial situation or their stage in life. For us, I'm thrilled, and it's a wonderful asset for us to build our food storage.
The important thing is that you get the job done. Whether it's with a freeze dryer or not, make sure that you're putting away provisions for your future. And thanks for being part of the solution.